The warning lights bathed the quarantine bay in crimson as Commander Zarek's mandibles clicked in agitation. "Human Emma," the insectoid officer, said through the translator. "I must insist you understand the gravity of this situation. Those are Vexan Hatchlings, apex predators. Their kind has decimated entire colonies." Emma-chan adjusted her glasses and peered through the reinforced viewing window at the 4 small creatures huddled in the corner of the containment cell. They were roughly the size of house cats, covered in midnight blue scales that shimmered like oil on water. Their 6 eyes, arranged in pairs down their elongated skulls, blinked in what she could only describe as fear. "They're shivering," Emma said softly. "They are calibrating their thermal regulation systems before the kill strike." Zarek corrected. "It is instinctual behavior documented in over 400 encounters." Emma turned to face the commander, her expression patient but firm. "Commander, they're babies. Look at them. They're cold and scared." "They are Vexan Hatchlings," Zarek repeated, as if speaking to a particularly slow child. "In 3 solar cycles, they will be capable of tearing through reinforced Duras steel. In 6 cycles, they will hunt in coordinated packs. The galactic consensus is clear. They must be eliminated before maturation." Jack Morrison, Emma's research partner, chose that moment to enter the bay carrying an armful of supplies. "Got the yarn you asked for?" he said, dumping multicolored skeins onto the workbench. "Though I still think you're insane," Emma noted, already sorting through the materials. "Purple, green, yellow, and red. Perfect." Zarek's translator emitted what might have been a sigh. "Human Jack, you will not participate in this madness." Jack shrugged, a gesture lost on the alien commander. "I've known Emma for 5 years. When she gets that look in her eyes, the universe tends to rearrange itself around her stubbornness. I'm just here to make sure she doesn't get eaten." "A wise precaution," Zarek muttered. Emma had already pulled out her knitting needles, actual antique wooden ones her grandmother had given her, and was measuring lengths of yarn. The environmental controls in that cell are designed for mature Vexans, not hatchlings. They're probably running a fever trying to stay warm. "The containment protocols are standard across all council stations," Zarek protested. "Standard for adults of the species," Emma countered, her needles already flying in a practiced rhythm. "Not for babies who just lost their mother in that asteroid collision." "Jack, pull up the bioscans. What's their actual body temperature?" Jack interfaced with the terminal, his fingers dancing across the holographic display. "Huh? They're running about 15 degrees below the optimal range for their age group." "Emma, you might actually be right." "I'm always right about cold babies," Emma said without looking up from her knitting. "It's practically my superpower." Over the next 3 hours, Emma worked with singular focus. The first sweater took shape, a tiny garment with 4 armholes for the hatchling's small limbs, a longer body section, and a turtleneck to accommodate their elongated necks. She even added a hood with small openings for their triple eye arrangement. "It's purple," Jack observed. "Very purple." The smallest one seemed to gravitate toward the purple light spectrum during the initial scans, Emma explained. "I'm calling her Violet." "You've named them," Zarek said flatly. "Of course I've named them. That's Violet. And the others will be Forest, Sunshine, and Ruby." The commander's translator crackled with what the humans had learned to recognize as exasperation. "You cannot domesticate a Vexrian. It is biologically, psychologically, and evolutionarily impossible. They are obligate carnivores with neural architecture designed exclusively for hunting." "So are cats," Emma said, finishing the first sweater and starting on the green one. "And I've had 3 cats if you count Mr. Whiskers, though he was technically my roommate." Jack pulled up a chair beside her. "I'll help you. Show me the pattern and I'll work on the yellow one." "You knit?" Zarek asked. "My mom taught me," Jack replied defensively. "It's relaxing." By the 8th hour, all 4 sweaters were complete. Emma stood, stretching her back, and examined her handiwork. "Okay. Now for the hard part." "The hard part," Zarek repeated. "You consider entering a containment cell with 4 Vexan hatchlings to be the hard part? Not the insane premise of knitting sweaters for apex predators." Emma was already pulling on the protective suit, though she notably left the reinforced helmet on the bench. "They're babies, Commander. I'm not going to terrify them by looking like a faceless robot." Jack handed her the sweaters neatly folded. "I've adjusted the environmental controls to warm up gradually. Once they're dressed, we should see their stress indicators drop." The airlock hissed open. Emma stepped into the containment cell, The 4 hatchlings immediately pressed themselves against the far wall, their scales rippling with color changes that Emma's research suggested indicated fear. Small growls emanated from their throats, sounds that would become earth-shaking roars in adulthood, but were currently no more intimidating than a kitten's hiss. "Hey there, sweethearts," Emma said, crouching low to appear less threatening. "I know you're scared. I know you're cold. Let's fix one of those problems. Okay?" She held up the purple sweater. The smallest hatchling, Violet, tilted all 6 eyes toward the garment. Her nostrils flared, analyzing the scent. Then, in a movement that made Zarek gasp over the intercom, she took one tentative step forward. "That's right," Emma whispered. "It's soft. It's warm. It's for you." Violet crept closer, her movements cautious but curious. Emma remained perfectly still, letting the hatchling investigate. A long forked tongue flickered out, tasting the air around the sweater. Then Violet's head pushed through the neck hole. Emma gently guided the hatchling's limbs through the armholes, adjusting the fit. The effect was immediate. Violet's scales shifted from agitated reds and oranges to calmer blues and purples. A sound emerged from her throat. Not a growl, but something almost like a purr. The other 3 hatchlings watched intently. "Who's next?" Emma asked. 20 minutes later, all 4 hatchlings were dressed in their respective colored sweaters. They huddled together in a pile, but now their scales showed colors associated with contentment. The largest one, Ruby, had even started making soft chirping sounds. Emma exited the cell and removed her protective suit. "See, just cold babies." Zarek stood motionless, all compound eyes fixed on the viewing window. "In 37 years of council service," the commander said slowly, "I have never witnessed anything like this. That's because you've been following protocol designed by people who never considered that maybe predators are traumatized by losing their mothers too," Emma said gently. "Jack, what are their vitals showing?" "Heart rates down by 40%. Stress hormones dropping. Body temperatures rising to optimal levels." "Emma, I think they're actually falling asleep." Indeed, all 4 hatchlings had closed their multiple eyes, curled up together in a pile of scales and hand-knitted sweaters. Zarek's mandibles clicked in a pattern the humans hadn't heard before. "I must report this to the council. This is unprecedented." "Feel free," Emma said, already pulling out more yarn. "But I'm going to need to make them bigger sweaters eventually. They're going to grow." "If you can successfully raise Vexan hatchlings to adulthood," Zarek said, "you will fundamentally alter our understanding of one of the galaxy's most feared species." Emma smiled, watching the sleeping hatchlings through the window. Or maybe the galaxy just needed to remember that every predator was a baby once, and every baby deserves to be warm, safe, and loved. Jack bumped her shoulder affectionately. "You're going to end up with 4 full-grown Vexans wearing sweaters, aren't you?" "Obviously," Emma replied. "I'm already planning the Christmas patterns. Please follow my channel for more videos. One click from you can change my life."